In a shocking turn of events, a Florida preacher, a man trusted by his community, went from preaching faith to committing a gruesome crime. What could drive a man, seemingly devoted to God and family, to dismember his own wife? The catalyst? A chilling revelation about his children that shattered his reality and led to a brutal act of violence. John was a preacher in a quiet Florida town, known for his devout nature, his unwavering belief in his faith, and his strong family values. Married to Emily, the couple appeared to have it all: a beautiful home, 5 children, and an active role in the local church. To outsiders, John and Emily's life seemed like the embodiment of what every family should strive for. Their children, ranging in ages from toddlers to teenagers, were well-mannered and always by their parents' side at church events. But beneath the surface, things were far from perfect. John's life wasn't as flawless as it appeared. Behind his image of the loving father and preacher, there was an unsettling sense of control. His belief in traditional values may have fueled his desire for order, but it also bred deep insecurities about his own worth. And, while he loved his family, he was about to uncover a secret that would shake the foundation of everything he thought he knew. John's father had always been a figure of authority in his life, someone he respected but also feared. As a man with great influence and wealth, he carried a heavy hand in matters of the family, including his son's marriage. Unknown to John, his father had been pulling strings behind the scenes for years, and one of the most devastating revelations came when John discovered that his father had legal control over all 5 of his children. The discovery was nothing short of earth-shattering. How could this have happened? How could John not have known? His father had somehow managed to gain legal ownership over the children, taking full control of their lives. This was more than just a financial or legal matter, it was an emotional betrayal that sent John spiraling. He had always been the one to provide for his family, but now he felt completely powerless. His father, the man he had always looked up to, had taken away his most basic right, the right to protect his own children. As John grappled with this devastating truth, his relationship with Emily began to unravel. Emily, for her part, had no idea about the full extent of her father-in-law's involvement in their lives. She was devastated by the news as well, but the pressure on John was overwhelming. Their arguments became more frequent, and the tension in the home grew unbearable. In an already volatile marriage, this revelation was the spark that ignited the flames of a tragic outcome. On that fateful night, John confronted Emily about the truth he had just uncovered. The argument quickly escalated, fueled by betrayal, hurt, and years of repressed emotion. John, pushed to his breaking point, made a decision that would change everything. In a fit of uncontrollable rage, he attacked Emily. The violence was shocking and brutal, and the aftermath was horrifying. What happened next was both horrifying and incomprehensible. In his emotional frenzy, John killed Emily, but that wasn't the end. In a fit of unexplainable rage, he dismembered her body. It's difficult to understand what went through his mind, but the act of dismemberment was not one of impulse alone, it was deliberate, gruesome, and a sign of just how far the emotional strain had pushed him. Authorities were stunned when they arrived at the scene. The brutality of the crime was unlike anything they had encountered before. But as the investigation unfolded, a clearer picture began to emerge. John's actions were not those of a man who had just snapped. There was a pattern here: years of emotional strain, a sense of loss, and a deep, visceral need for control. The revelation about his father's involvement had shattered his sense of identity and pushed him beyond the brink of reason. The police quickly took John into custody, but the questions surrounding his actions remained. Was this a crime of passion, a momentary lapse in judgment? Or was it the result of years of emotional manipulation and control? Experts weighed in, suggesting that John's emotional breakdown may have been triggered by feelings of helplessness and betrayal, but that didn't excuse his actions. The investigation revealed even more chilling details. John's father had been in control of many aspects of his life, including his children's future. And now, the legacy of that control was tainted with violence. The disturbing question on everyone's mind was how far the manipulation had gone and whether John's father played a role in the tragic events that followed. In the wake of Emily's death, the community was left in shock. No one could reconcile the man they knew, an upstanding preacher, a loving father, with the man who had committed such a heinous act. Neighbors, friends, and members of the church were all left grappling with the reality that someone they had trusted had committed such a terrible crime. As John awaited trial, the family was torn apart. Emily's 5 children were left in a state of confusion and heartbreak. They had lost their mother and now faced an uncertain future. The control that had once been exerted over them now seemed even more suffocating. The legal battle over their custody became yet another point of contention. Would they remain under the guardianship of their grandfather, the man who had set this tragic chain of events into motion, or would they be freed from his grasp? John's trial would be a complex one. Legal experts believe that the case will delve deep into the psychological implications of emotional manipulation and the effects of family control. Could John be held fully responsible for his actions, or would the courts find mitigating factors that explain his breakdown? And what about his father? Was he complicit in the crime, even if only by allowing such control over his son's life to fester? The legal ramifications of this case will extend far beyond John's own fate. It will raise important questions about the boundaries of familial influence, control, and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. This story is a tragic reminder of how deeply family dynamics can affect a person's life. What seems like a simple family conflict or misunderstanding can have far-reaching consequences, particularly when power, control, and manipulation are at play. John's story is one of betrayal and loss, not just for him, but for his children and the community he once served. It's hard to comprehend how someone could commit such a heinous act, especially when their life appeared so normal on the outside. But the truth is, what happened inside John's home was far from normal. It was a ticking time bomb, waiting to go off, and when it did, the devastation was unimaginable. As we continue to follow this case, it will undoubtedly raise many more questions. How far should a family member's influence extend? When does love and care turn into control, and when does it become too much? This tragic tale of manipulation, power, and loss serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of emotional control and the devastating consequences it can have. Thank you for watching. Kindly click on subscribe button and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this case? Is there ever an excuse for such an act of violence, no matter the circumstances? Let's continue this conversation, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on this tragic story.